Diary of the Last Hunter. My name is Alex, and I'm the last of our group. Once there were 5 of us. We called ourselves the Shadow Hunters, a group of friends who traveled to dozens of countries in search of the truly supernatural. We were not amateur adventurers. We explored the scariest places in the world, the ones spoken of only in whispers. We recorded sounds, shot videos, and spoke with locals. But we never thought that one day we would find something that was looking for us. And here I am, alone, writing this because there is no one else left to tell. You won't believe it, but it doesn't matter. They already know about you. We started with the places everyone knew about. Aokigahara, Japan, the haunted forest that we heard voices among the trees calling us to go further. The Island of the Dolls, Mexico, decayed toy faces swaying in the wind, and at night, their eyes would open. Bloody monastery of Vallecasas, Spain, where the reflections of murdered monks are still seen in the mirrors. We were looking for evidence, but nothing that could really stop us. But then came Romania, a castle that had been abandoned since the 16th century. We did not yet know that after this expedition, there would be only 4 of us left. Romania, the first loss, the cursed Goya Castle. The locals forbade us to go there. Some even refused to talk about it. There are lights in the windows at night, said the old hotel owner. But no one has lived in the castle for 400 years. This only intrigued us. At night, we sneaked inside. The air was musty, the walls covered with old stains that looked like blood. And most importantly, complete silence. Such silence I had never heard. Not a sound, not a breath. Even our footsteps had no echo. We were walking down the dark corridor when Mark, our cameraman, stopped. Do you hear that? We heard nothing. Someone is whispering in my ear. And then he screamed. Mark grabbed his head as if something was squeezing his skull. It's inside me. He screamed and felt his knees. And then we saw it. A shadow began to stretch out from the wall. It was flat, like a black silhouette. But it moved. And in a moment, the shadow lunged at Mark. We saw it crawl under his skin. His eyes turned black, and his body started convulsing. Run, yelled Jacob. We ran, but when we turned around, Mark was gone. Venice, Poveglia Hospital. When we arrived at Poveglia Island, there were 4 of us left. No one wanted to talk about Mark, but everyone knew this was not the end. Venice was quiet, but as we approached the island, the water around the boat began to bubble. I looked down and saw faces under the water, eyes staring straight at me. There's someone there. Jacob lowered his hand into the water, but the hand did not come back up. We pulled him back into the boat. On his wrist was a black mark, as if from a dead man's hand. We stayed the night in the old hospital. At night, someone knocked on the door, but when we opened it, the corridor was empty. Then we heard his voice, Mark's voice. Help, it's inside me. Jacob raised the lantern and froze. He's there, in the corridor. We looked ahead, and we saw him, standing in the shadows. But his face was wrong, as if something foreign was on it. Jacob stepped forward. Don't go, I shouted, but it was too late. Jacob disappeared, just dissolved into the darkness. And then we heard whispers from all sides. We fled, leaving everything behind. Now there were 3 of us. Ukraine, Chernobyl Hospital. We didn't want to go further, but we no longer controlled it. Something was driving us forward. In Pripyat, there was a hospital that had been closed since the accident. Inside, there were still beds where people had died. We sneaked in at 3 in the morning. Michael went first. We found a room with cribs. Then the door closed by itself, and we heard footsteps in the dark. Not human, as if something was walking on all 4s. We held our flashlights, trying not to breathe. But Michael, he suddenly froze, started whispering unfamiliar words. He's coming, he said. Who? His eyes were black. He smiled, and we saw that his teeth had turned black. And then he fell to the floor, screamed, and disappeared. Just disappeared. Only the smell of burnt flesh remained. There were 2 of us left. We couldn't go back. We had to find out the truth. The last place, Derinkuyu, Turkey, an ancient underground city where people hid from something terrifying. We descended at night. The flashlights began to flicker when we reached the depth, and then we heard breathing. Deep, heavy. "We are not alone here," whispered John. We heard footsteps behind us. We turned sharply and saw Michael. He was standing there, but it was not him. "You won't escape, Alex," he said. John started to run, but in the darkness, something grabbed him. I didn't see what it was. I only heard his scream, and then something touched my shoulder. Darkness engulfed me. I woke up in the hotel. I don't remember how I got here. I don't remember how I got out. But I know one thing. I'm no longer alone. The door to my room creaks by itself. In the mirror, I see shadows behind me. And at night, someone whispers in my ear, "You brought them with you." Here is the translation. I know this is my last entry. I can no longer run. They are here. When I open my eyes at night, I see their figures in the corners of the room. When I fall asleep, I feel cold fingers touching my face. I have told you everything, but it won't save you, because now they know about you too. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. The entry ends here. The following pages are stained with black spots, resembling dry blood. This diary was found in an abandoned hotel room in Prague. The hotel owner reported that there was never a guest named Alex. However, surveillance cameras show the door to his room opening by itself at midnight. The last entry in his diary was written in blood-red ink, which was not among his belongings. And the scariest part, on the mirror in that room, written by an invisible hand, appeared the message, "Now we are coming for you."